Los Higos all the way up to Torre Ahumada. In the northeast side, a fairly even cut on the plane path. Should be fairly kind to everyone involved. We'll be looking at who's going to be dropping out towards places like Picardo, like Los Leones, or Pozzo as well. A crucial area. Montenuevo potential to get a little bit hot on this plane path as well.
No, potential for Montenuevo to get a little bit spicy. The team's able to quickly head up towards that northwest side and get themselves in position. Picardo, obviously one of those really well-liked positions around the map. Maybe someone's going to pick up that soon. Torre Ahumada, also easy enough to head towards another Copperia, another position around the map that does provide you a lot of options towards that late game. So it's a surprisingly good playing path here for a lot of teams in this lobby. We'll just see who's able to pick up those priority spots early.
Halfway on the plane path now. Alter Ego, DRS close to one another on the south coast. Over in Picardo, it looks like it's going to be Wolves on their own right now. Los Leones potentially shared between Vampire and T2K, but T2K are a little bit further north and might not even challenge for it. Instead, they've got their own problems to worry about over there. There's two teams dropping near them. The outpost from Nova all the way down towards that south side. Circle pops. It's over towards Impala.
Yeah, Impala open now. Not many teams actually headed over this way, in fact, so you should see some players, some teams heading on towards Puerto Paraíso, even Impala. Delta's taking the Delta Expressway over towards that position of the map on the old glider. Good news for them. Won't get isolated. Bit more difficult to actually take players out in this thing, considering how fast it can be. Not very evasive, though, unfortunately. Most time when I try and pull out evasive maneuvers, I tend to just smash right into trees.
That is one of the main dangers, I think, of flying.
Yeah.
When there are trees nearby. Or even, you know, pylons in the background, hitting those cables. Smash. Bad times.
That's right.
Okay. I feel like you're trying to tell me something and I'm not getting it, but I don't know what's going on there.
No, it's just quite funny, though, because John is dressed for the weather right now. He's got a nice jacket on. He's good to go. He looks cozy. He looks warm.
Oh, so cozy.
I'm currently borrowing a sweater. Got the hood up. I'm sat down. I'm all huddled in my chair. And it kind of looks weird. It kind of looks like someone's the professional and I'm not. However,
whoa,
I can bring professional commentary. Might not look like a professional right now.
Oh dear. You look fine. You're doing great.
Thank you.
We're surviving. We're managing.
It's not always... You can't always judge a book by its cover.
The only survival happening, not just in the game. It's in the casting area.
I'm surviving here as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Gale wins of Antarctic freezing possibility. But obviously, these teams must be nice and happy. They can pretend they're in Miramar. I can pretend I'm in Miramar.
Yes, you can.
That nice hate. Oh, you know, it's just taking over my brain.
Look, you're just gonna get jealous if you think too much about it.
I really am. But again,
IHC on the western side in Montenuevo. No one really challenged them out on this western edge. They can move in fairly soon.
Absolutely. And again, this is what I'm saying about, you know, not judging a book by its cover, or me with my silly sweater on. But it's just teams like DRS or Inco where you think to yourself, you know, maybe you're looking at this team a little bit wrong. Like, I used to think Inco was a lot of luck. I think that they're fully aware that they don't have that power to go against some of these teams in the lobby that are right towards the top, and there are a lot of them, and I respect that about them because they just set themselves in positions where they can take those third parties, they can take those off angles, and that's fair enough. That's fair play. I like that from Inco. They're doing what they can to see themselves up towards a top position here at the Pmgc Grand Finals. No matter what happens, I think if Inco can keep up this kind of pace, they're going to bring home some good money for the team.
Influence coming north side of El Azahar. Wolves left Picardo very swiftly, I would say. We're not too far into this game, Blank, and they've already left and headed all the way out to the east towards La Bandita, near towards where Nova have actually made their move. So two of the Chinese teams will be playing there. Hang on a minute, there's a third as well, because Nova are in the midst of it also, near the crater, near Minas Generales, just a little bit further north. Inco crunching in from that north side. We'll see if they have got that power.
Inco, obviously, this is what I'm saying. I don't think they have that power just yet. But I think what they do have is they have good game sense. They have good awareness. I think they do their homework. They go home and they study They keep the little nightlight on, and that's fine. I respect that. I like that a lot. It's something I admire in a team. I think if you just come into these matches and you just have sheer brute force, doesn't always come through if you don't have, you know, the brains to back up that brawn a lot of times. I think right now Inco is kind of consists a lot of brains. They're a strong brain, though. Very strong brain.
Big, strong brain.
Yeah, a muscular brain.
They've been eating their greens.
Yeah.
S2G on the western side as well, just a little bit behind the queue for Wolves. And they'll draw a little bit shorter, but they're still firmly in this circle for the next. But they went over towards Impala on the east edge and looking to create an outpost a little bit further into the mix of it all, a little bit out to that western side of their position. They'll be happy to do that, happy to be able to gain that foothold. 4 Angry Men on the southwest side. Chington was able to get very, very deep into that last game. 4th place, in fact, for them as a solo player. Will have been achieved there, 9 points total, which on the game that they were having, a really, really good result.
It's not bad. I think he was hoping for a top 3. And it was quite quickly that a lot of these other teams went out after them. But again, 9 points, yeah, it might not be that average you're looking for like maybe that 10, 11 plus. But what this does see them is in a range where this game, they hit just a little bit higher, maybe a few more eliminations, get a decent position over towards that. They'll be making good pace in this lobby. VPE currently right on target with 10 points on their last game. I would like to see something a little bit more explosive from VPE. Obviously, taking the title in PMWI. They took both the titles, in fact. That was over in the main tournament as well as the after party. They were absolutely smashing the competition. It was a global competition as well, but this wasn't the type of teams you maybe see at Pmgc. It was some of the best teams around the world, and honestly, then we cut down to these leanest and meanest for Pmgc 2022 Grand Finals. I do think VPE could take home the grand title, and it would be an incredible result for Thailand overall, and a massive meteoric rise there for Vampire Esports, a relatively unknown team.
Having 2 Thailand teams as well coming in from the region, Vampire and Buriram, is already a great result for the region. Blank. They've already managed to put up a phenomenal performance over the 2022 season, so we're looking for more coming out of that side of the world. In the SEA area, of course, with the updated PMPL formats, with the shifts coming through, there's all the more opportunities for teams to try and take them on in that region as well. 4 Angry Men looking to take on a team of their own, the home team, Alter Egos. But no one really going down too low, no one really taking too much damage, just presence being demonstrated and felt.
Yeah, territory usually very important here on Miramar, and I think that you can kind of claim a lot of territory quite quickly. Specifically because there is so much elevation on this side of the map as well towards El Azahar, you can control a full kilometer around you. And in fact, you know, you are seeing a team like Influence Kemen doing that right now from the southeast of Junkyard. A7 tend to take very similar rotations to Influence Kemen, though a lot of times it has been Influence Kemen winning out on that side. With this circle, though, it's just quite cruel. I think Alpha 7 had figured out a path past Influence Kemen, but now they have to pass them if they want to get in towards the circle. So I think maybe this is a rotate in together. I don't think Alpha 7 wants to get too far behind this movement.
Alpha 7 in the last game, 5th place, 7 eliminations. We talked about that being a great start for them. 13 points will be their current lineup there.
They kind of remind me of like a combo point team, because, you know, as they start to build up those combo points and they keep hitting their target, they keep striking different areas, you know, you start to see them like really blast out, and that's when you'll see the momentum carry them throughout the rest of the game towards that very, very end game where they just look absolutely phenomenal. I think if you see Alpha 7 start to strike out too early though, or a little bit too late, and then they stumble, they falter, that's when the engine starts to, you know, get caught up a little bit, starts to choke and gurgle, and I think Alpha 7 needs to really avoid those type of situations and maybe come to a dead stop, reevaluate, and then go again from step 1.
The fuel not quite mixing there properly for the Inco engine, and King spots a shot onto Squash. Sails it on down. Wolves, S2G taking a little bit of scrap at their own. The Wolves try and crash on in, but S2G, they played well in the last game. They're going to continue to do so here. Memory burned away as well. 2 points found for Kelsey.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidence coming through for S2G from the global stage, right? There was a lot of people predicting them to be in the top 3. And I think right now they're proving why they should be up towards that position at the moment with 15 points, 2 eliminations found. Inco, I think this is kind of typical of what we expected to see. Eventually they were going to head central. Fortunately, Nova is just too quick with this rotation. They're comfortable with making it as well. If anyone gets too close, they're going to quickly take shots down towards them. Now Inco's suffering because there are more teams willing to play center and very quickly.
Will be a little bit trickier for them. However, in the first game, 10 eliminations, second place, you won't be unhappy with it. See if that can continue against Nova's position. You were talking about them being close to one another. Pick feet knocked. Beautiful, yet to get that res, and with the health bar as it is, unlikely that he's going to be able to make that dash unless you do it right now. Beautiful will be playing solo from here on out into the game. Moves forwards to the building. His teammate falls, and Wolves down to 1. They didn't have the greatest of first games, and it looks like the second might be a repeat.
The Wolves just as an invitational, it hasn't really paid off the way that they may have hoped here. Still think they've done very well in their respective region, but I think that league stage, well, at least lacking it, for these other teams in terms of Nova and 4AM, it's given them a lot more practice against these teams, and Wolves is coming in a little bit fresh. Now, we can say one thing for Wolves is that they're a very, very strong team. We know that they are. We've seen them perform at that kind of level. But I think for Chinese teams, it's about that adaptation. Now, 4AM and Nova's been adapting for the last month towards this playstyle. Wolves has kind of had a day, right? They've had a couple of days maybe in test matches, results, rehearsals. So I do think that maybe tomorrow we'll see something a little bit more out of them. It could be an instantaneous adaptation as well, where we do see Wolves get better maybe in match 3, match 4, at which point you'll start to see them take off just a little bit.
Cliff dives from the 4 Angry Men to move towards Beautiful. A nade leashed towards WWX, and will actually do a hefty chunk of damage there. Does need to be a bit worried, and Beautiful backs most of them off. In the meantime, Geek Fam trying to hold off Influence Kemin. Wolves fall. The last player did go down and out-snipes one of the 2 remaining Geek Fam players. Will leave his teammate high and dry now as Dan Rude, last surviving member for the squad. Influence Kemin up to 3 eliminations.
Nice stuff for them. Alpha 7. Don't have to get in on board that kind of action as Influence Kemin moves up towards that northern side. Fireflux still on the edge though. On that southeast, we're looking at them right now. Currently 2 alive, but 0 points found so far. So for Fireflux, yeah, good start towards their show match at the beginning of the day. However, we haven't seen anything too exciting so far. And I think that is kind of the curse of playing as a edge team. A lot of times you can quite quickly crash and burn in just a plume of smoke and not really get anything done, as opposed to a team that might want to play center, might be able to pick up a couple of eliminations here and there and pad their scoring. But I think Fireflux is looking for one of those big chicken dinners.
As are plenty of other teams, to be fair. At this stage, an early lead is great to be able to secure. DRS are able to do it. Stalwart distributing goods, making sure everyone is nice and supplied. Solus scouting out a little bit further north from the rest of the roster, but will be spotting them out as well. Inco close to 4 Angry Men and Nova. This is that central position that you talked about being moved into very, very quickly, Blank.
See, able to get one of the players back up, so Inco's still at 4. We're sent away by Nova. It's not an ideal position, unfortunately. The team's able to watch across. Again, though, Inco's kind of setting themselves up towards Buduram and Alpha 7. They'll have to plant their feet, though. In the meantime, 4AM looking out towards Fireflux. Again, this would be horrific to crash into this one and take so many casualties so quickly.
Oh, Lutz and Solke both fall, and Fireflux are down to 2. A really nice crossfire, a forwards movement from Svan, and WWX does them wonders, but King is there to play spoiler. Spots Svan crawling back behind the headland, and there is cover now. King backed off. Solus will be looking out this way, but Ketch in the meantime is also down, leaving Fireflux at just the 1. The res now looking to come through for the 4 Angry Men on that southwest side. As King backed off that ridgeline, Jimmy wants to put pressure on as well, trying to back up the teammate, but King is flushed. A player lost now fully for Nova as 4 Angry Men pull themselves back together. All 4 of them now up and kicking.
Yeah, that could have been an absolute disastrous result there for 4AM after they've secured such a good position over towards that northeast side of La Bendita, only for King to come in. find one player on the knock and then the flush, in which case their push up towards Nova later on would have been really difficult. So the fact that 4AM were able to turn that around, pick themselves the elimination over towards Nova, that's going to make their push on that north side so much easier now. You can already see MWWX heading up towards Stalwart.
Spreading their influence. Slowly creeping it outwards. Stalwart, west side of the compound now. Playing in the warehouses, they should be just fine for the time being. DRS, south side, 4 players alive. Skirting around T2K. And looking for a position a little bit further east. Buradam are going to be ahead of them, and they turn their tails instead. Move back towards T2K, up on the compound on the top of the hill.
Not a bad spot to play here. Do have to deal with T2K soon enough, but Buradam also off towards their eastern side, yet to really hit anything too large in these games. Getting 3 points on that last one in terms of placement points alone, but not many eliminations as they were cut to pieces by the likes of our 7.
Delta moving up into the smoke. As Rules establishes the off angle for DRS, they are going to be looking for this almost directly, but Alter Egos may be a third party on this engagement. You can see Potato there just off in the distance, moving forwards towards things as they go off. Oh, a lovely nade straight on through. There's a low health bar there. Unfortunately, there it is. The third party from Alter Egos comes through, and DRS's presence is going to be waning now as Alter Ego can start to flow across this hillside. But do they want to commit to this fight with DRS at this stage? Instead, they can just get ahead of T2K on this compound.
Decent start there, though. 1 down at least. Like you said, John, do they want to get ahead of this one? Do they want to move further up? But doing that would mean they would have to come face-to-face with 4AM or Vampire Esports towards La Bandita. It's a bit difficult now if you're on this southern side. I think anyone that's moved already up in towards that north edge of Minas Generalis is feeling pretty happy. Just off the back of the fact that they don't have to move too much. Little boy from Influence came in actually scouting down towards the eastern side of Minas Generalis. Kind of like that move.
Vampire bringing Stoned back down the hill. Razy and Silas looking to just peek over this ridge line, get a little bit of control. They've spread out 2 and 2. They're not looking to take the center of this crater, but they want the info on the teams that have got that. And they'll be able to get away with that to boot. Circle pops. Central away from that southwest glut, and mostly away from the teams on the northwest as well. There's going to be a lot of scrapping up there.
100%. I think there's going to be huge amount of engagements. Demo already down. The scout from IHC certainly doing his job there. They will lose 1 player, but Nova with 3 as well. But I think for Influence Kevin, they just have so much strength on this northern side with Lil Boy holding that compound towards the east. Law still on high, providing that high ground vision. The bird's eye view of the map. Really, really well done. It looks like S2G now moving in from the west, maybe looking to try and hamper the guys from 4AM, pick up that position over on the ridge side, clearing out the entirety of La Bandita before thinking about doing anything about it.
5 eliminations for Influence Kemen. This is the only Brazilian team that didn't really have a great game last time around. They got no points on the first, going out in 15th place, so good to see that they are not going to be discouraged by that. They will start to step up now. 5 eliminations, most in the current game here. And you were talking about the strength of their position, so we'll see if they can leverage that and earn the points that it would beget. T2K on the south side, looking to move a little bit further north. Hamzy moves on in the meantime and spots a stalwart player. Pika picked off.
Pika, not the most ideal a spot for them. Stalwart looking to get a little bit further on their side. Obviously, top, Scry towards that western edge. I think Nova's got a pretty good chokehold on them at this point in time, though. Some smokes went down, but Nova has to worry about the guys from IHC. Alter Ego taking knocks 2. Potato, I think he's last remaining now for the team.
Ooh. Delta just gets back to cover for DRS and around the side again. Yep, and into the upstairs position now for Delta, but the blue zone's there, and there's the knock. T2K will not have to worry about that one. Killer further ahead of the curve. Jane just needs to stay alive, and they can move in and play this one smart. They should see that Delta's gone down and will be flushed as well. T2K also taking shots over towards Schweppes. Will be able to find them, but there is an answer on that engagement. Influence Kemen in the meantime on the northern side. They've been troubling IHC for a long time and will continue to give them that very same trouble. More eliminations starting to flow on through, and teams are dropping like flies now, Blank. We've just lost, I think, 5 teams in about 10 seconds.
It was very quick. And honestly, this is the case of Labadita being shunted out. There were so many teams kind of playing around that area. And you can only play around that area for so long before you have to full send it over this side. Vampire Esports were really hanging on by a thread for a long while. They lose 3 players, in fact.
4 Angry Men up to 5 eliminations now. S2G struggling. Silas very low. Will bleed on out. Kelsey also under a lot of pressure here. 4 Angry Men pick up 7. Vampire seemingly the next to fall to their blade, but there is that one shot coming over the top from Schweppes, who is keeping them together now. The only piece of the puzzle remaining for them. 2 reses potentially on the cards, but with the blue zone coming in 35 seconds, with 4 Angry Men moving in to exert leverage over those down positions. Schweppes going to have his work cut out with Qingchen on the high ground. Needs a miracle to make this one work. Good Xiao with that Molotov forces Schweppes to go for a little bit of an engagement there, forces him to peak too high, and actually it's T2K to take the point.
Vampire Esports really pulled out every single stop there to try and make their way through, but it was not meant to be, unfortunately. Aggressing onto that position maybe had to happen a little bit sooner, but with S2G up towards that north side, Stalwart, 4AM having a really good hold in that position, with Alter Ego also getting in the mix with 2TK. I think that honestly, you look at that and you just think it's a dying battle. I think Vampire Esports thought their position was a lot better than it was, but I think it was just because so many of these teams cornered themselves down towards La Bandita, which is why we saw so many fall so instantly as soon as this circle moves up this way. Influence came in, pick up that position that Little Boy's been holding for quite some time over towards that northeast as a regroup. They may need to send it down towards Alpha 7 spot. Buradam as well as Influence came in, both are looking to take shots towards Alpha 7 and maybe get a knock or 2, in which case they can take up the mantle of that really good spot in the circle.
9 eliminations now for 4 Angry Men already. 3 of their players still active in the fight. 2 teams right now, 3 teams, sorry, with 4 alive. Inco, Alpha 7, Influence Kemen. All the Brazilian teams are still very much in this one, but Order may be looking to change that one. Federal close by to danger, but has backup across the way. Shots landing really effectively, and there's the nade. Excellent 1-2 punch from the Influence Kemen squad. They've been playing with strength on this northern side and will continue to do so. Paraboy now looking to try and get across that road, get across that ridge line as Order flushed out, his teammate taken away. 4 Angry Men moving into another Brazilian stronghold here against Inco this time around. Vitali opens up the bidding, a good Xiao falls first. WWX is a second casualty in the engagement, and Qingchen now looking to trade nades around the corner. Vitali has other ideas. A nade towards the back goes a little bit long. Molotov around the wall stops a fallback from Qingchen, forces him into the fight, and excellently executed. Inco. Beautiful hold.
I mean, 2023, the year of Brazil, man. I'm telling you, these guys are on the upward battle, the upward path towards the stairway to heaven. And honestly, I'm really so incredibly happy about Brazil and the Brazilian teams and what they've done this past year and what I think they will do this next year as well. Influence Kemen, I think they've come in and kind of revitalized A7 in a way, because I think that A7 was sort of cruising a little bit. Then suddenly Influence Kemen comes out of nowhere and it's like, there's another kid on the block, and Alpha 7's like, right, we can't have this, we're going to have to really go into hyperdrive. And again, Inco, the little brother, starting to make their way up the rankings as well. Looks good. I think with a little bit more time, maybe coaching, analysts, Inco could be a really good team. They do have extreme potential. Taking down 4AM like that is not easy.
And when you've got stars like Nenebete coming through on that little brother Inco team, it's no wonder. Say little brother, currently second place on the overall tables, 4 eliminations on this game. Brilliant stuff from the largest country in South America. they have certainly made their mark and are continuing to do so here in Jakarta. Nova on the northern side, playing with 2 now.
Yeah, still going. I think that's the main thing. But again, only 5 points so far for Nova. It's not ideal as defending champions. It's kind of the day where you would like to get a big bump up in terms of points potential. That last day looked a little bit easier. Again, for Nova, certainly anything is possible. They have pulled things out the bag before. I would not be surprised to see a 100-point day be pulled out from a top hat on day 3. That is just something that might happen. Again, though, it would be very, very difficult. Inco, still on this western side, still doing work. Paraboy steps up, finds at least 1 there, though. Good stuff. Nenebete's down. Arguably the key player over on Inco.
Will be felled, actually stolen away there by Buraram. Across the way, Vitali looking to light up Jimmy, will be able to do so. It's Scry to chime into it as well as Jimmy goes down outside the shack. Currently held by Stalwart up the top, but Paraboy will fall to the play zone. And that's going to leave Nova out. 5 teams now remaining. Influence Kevin on that northern side. 3 players left alive. Alpha 7, all 4 of them going. Inco 3 as well. Buraram looking to try and keep themselves together, but they are 1 against the Brazilian 3.
It is going to be difficult now for Buraram to keep their cool going forward. Coming into the last zone before we do enclose this one completely. Right now, Buraram, Tiger, Kenzo, Sky Only, very good at holding down the battlefield. Sky Only is this player that's always been so manipulative of a lot of players within the circle itself.
But playing with 3 shots, really tearing into Influence Kemin now as Inco have turned their attention their way just that little bit. For 8 eliminations now as Influence Kemin will fall that northern side. It gave them a lot of points there, but 4th place, 8th, 8 eliminations, great stuff. Inco is really the big news here. They started this game on 2nd place. They have 3 players alive and a really great chance here as well on Miramar.
Yeah, they were sent away by Nova. And again, this is the Nitro boost. This is where they click the green button and get going. Alpha 7 looking to stop that one. A Winnie in the hands of Mythic. They have not moved too far away from that position before. Becca, Squash, Vitali still up. Nenebete, that key player, not on his feet though. But again, Vitali was able to put in some really good work on that last game as a start opponent for them. Sky Only tries to spray down the guys from A7, but they're making a good move here. Gaining ground, actually.
Terrain play really on point for Alpha 7 with 4 players alive. That is the most of any. Buraram absolutely blindsided there to a nice little spray coming through from Squash. Buraram cut down to just 2 active. Mythic spotted, but hits the deck with a Winnie. Wants to tear a head or 2 off shoulder, but we'll have to wait and see for the opportunity. Carrillo being sprayed out towards Tiger as they go across the open field in the buggy, but Carrillo steps up for Alpha 7.
Goodness me!
Lit up and put it down full. That's going to be 2 teams now remaining. Alpha 7 still in it with 4 as Inco take 3 into the final fight.
Mythic down, really bad news. That off angle was so important for them. Now Carrillo tries to get himself back up into action, but already Inco is making the right moves, destroying all the vehicles, preventing them from pushing any further towards the circle. They already have the center here, a very good ridge to play around, and Carrillo split off from his team. On the other hand, Inco's in a great spot to finish this one out strong. And yeah, little brother might be getting his own back here.
Mythic very unlikely to get rezzed in this scenario. This is the final zone and it will close all the way to the center. There is potential for them to roll out towards Mythic. There is that little ridge line in front of him that can be played as cover. But the time really not on your side, and do you want to invest the smokes at this stage?
I mean, yes, it's last zone. I 100% would. That is definitely what I would do.
Do they have any left?
Yes. No. Yes. No.
That's Inco.
That is a stun grenade. Most of them have already been popped out.
Looks like that way. Carrillo does make a push really far forward
bold.
into Squash's crosshairs. That's not going to work out. Unfortunately, there's not even a trade to be seen. Now 2 players active for Alpha 7. 4 eliminations on the game. Mafioso and Revo now with it all to do for the squad. Inco, they took 2nd in the first match of today. They're looking to try and put up that 1st place here on Miramar. Alpha 7 arguably specialists here on Miramar though. So even with a duo, they are certainly a force to be feared. Mafioso goes down. In the meantime, Revo now last standing for Alpha 7, and it's not long for it. It is Inco to step up yet again, and what a start to their tournament. Second place followed by a chicken dinner.
We wanted to know if they still had that power to take on the biggest teams with